Hey, how's it going today? It's Ian. What I want to talk about today is setting up campaign structures and basically what you're putting in your ad groups. Something that I get asked a lot is what do I target where, right? Do I put a bunch of audiences in one ad group and all the ages and all the devices and then I launch my campaign and then away it goes? Or do I segment them? Do I do a different age category per ad group, or different audience per ad group, or different device per ad group? And my answer is usually, it depends. As if you've watched any of my other videos, I often say that, it depends. And the reason it depends is because we have to think about what we want to potentially achieve later on with that campaign. So I'm launching a new campaign behind me here right now. It's a campaign that's only targeting women, specifically moms actually, right, in the life insurance space. And then what I want to be able to do later on is I'm targeting one audience. It's a combined audience, so it's a custom audience I've made. If you go into custom audiences, you can actually make a combined audience. So I've got a custom audience I've made for interests and purchase intentions. And then I've also narrowed it down further to select the detailed parenting demographics in there. So I've got a combined audience I'm running. And now what I want to be able to manage after I launch that campaign is I want to look at, okay, I know I'm only going to target women, so that takes out one variable. I'm not going to be targeting men. But I'm going to have different ages and different devices. So I'm thinking about what do I potentially want to be able to exclude or include or adjust later on. And the things I'm going to want to be able to modify or change are going to be the device that is being used. So is it, does this age group, does 45 to 54 perform better on tablet to this creative for this audience? I want to be able to shut off or bid down mobile and desktop, right? And the same thing for a younger or an older age demographic. So basically, I literally write it down on paper on one of my yellow legal pads I'm always filling up on my desk here. And I stopped and thought, I said, okay, for this particular one, the most important thing, because I've taken age out of it, is I'm going to segment by age, I took gender out of it. So I'm going to segment by ages. So each of my ad groups is going to be 25 to 34, 35 to 44, 45 to 54. I'm targeting those three, right? I'm going to put all devices in there except for TV placement, and then I'll be able to basically review this later on and say, okay, how did desktop perform for this? How did mobile perform for this age set? And I can modify those things. That gives me the flexibility I want, because I have a hunch that the older demographic will perform okay on desktop and tablet, but say the 25 to 34s are going to be primarily mobile. So what's your takeaway from this? Well, when you're setting up a campaign, in my course that I've got, Local YouTube Mastery, we talk about a phishing campaign where we run 5 ad groups to 5 different audiences, and 1 audience per ad group. And this is a fantastic and ideal way to uncover audiences that are going to work for our offer if we have no data. But what about once we're kind of more matured in an account and we know what's going on? How do we structure it? Do we keep structuring it this way? And in most of our mature accounts, we don't. What we tend to do is when we know we're trying to get one campaign working to one audience when we can. And then what we do with that is we'll think about what could we want to modify later on, right? So if we've got one ad, then we might say, well, we don't know if men and women are going to behave the same to this. So let's put one ad group for men, one ad group for women. And then we'll watch and see, are different ages or devices performing better, if that's the major differentiator. So think about what is the biggest differentiator you could want to modify your campaign for. Is it gender? Is it age? Is it devices? Those are usually the 3. Audience, of course, but once we find a winning audience, we want to scale it on its own in a campaign. So most of the time, what I would recommend looking at is breaking out your ad groups by either age, gender, or device once you've got some data and you know what's successful. And more times than not, it's usually going to be age or gender. Device, you'd only really want to segment out by if they're all working, and you might want to run different creative or something like that. So more just a thought-provoking video today to think about how you're setting up your ad groups and what you're specifying inside those ad groups for your targeting, and start to think about what outcome, what are we going to want to potentially do with this campaign later on? Are we going to want to be able to shut off certain devices for a certain age or gender? Are we going to be able to want to shut off certain ages for a certain gender if they're not performing? And then you can think about how to set up your ad groups so that later on after the campaign launches, you're not stuck. Because what sucks is when you run one campaign, one ad group, both genders, all devices, all age categories, and then you start to realize when you get in there, it's like, well, women at this age work good and men at this age work good. If you would have segmented by gender in the beginning, men and women, then you could just adjust the ages from there. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you would like more YouTube tips, more YouTube education, click the link below in the description. That'll take you over to my site. You can sign up for our YouTube newsletter where we send out all these new videos as well as tips and information that I discover in our campaigns as we're scaling our agency on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye for now.